We are working our way through our shapes, and now we are up to rhombus and regular polygon. At this point, you're like, just tell me the formula, right? What is the formula for area of a rhombus? Area of a rhombus is diagonal times diagonal divided by 2. You remember what a diagonal is, right? It's that distance that goes across the shape. So sometimes we'll write it inside the shape, but also because it's hard to represent sometimes, it might be written like that outside the shape, and then the other diagonal would go this way, and sometimes that's represented outside the shape. You'll remember that in all parallelograms, the diagonals bisect each other. So sometimes, like here, we're writing like the 4 and the 4, right, the little mini segments, but the whole diagonal is 8. And then similarly here, 5 and 5, what's that whole diagonal? Right, 10. So it's 8 times 10 divided by 2, or 40 centimeters squared. It's actually not that bad of a formula, is it? Let's see, what about this one? 12 plus 12 there is 24 times 5 plus 5 is 10 divided by 2, and that's 120 feet squared. Here's one where the diagonals are represented outside the shape, right? Just because it was hard to represent them inside the shape, but it's still the same two numbers. 6 times 4 divided by 2 is 12 millimeters squared. And sometimes there's no picture, right? They just tell you this is the diagonals. But again, we see this convert the units. 3 centimeters is the same as 30 millimeters. So it's 30 times 8 divided by 2, or 120 millimeters squared. So that is it, area of a rhombus. It's not that bad. So we're going to also do area of a regular polygon. And we have to remember, what is a regular polygon? We've had this a few times this year. All equal sides, all equal angles. Right? So we're looking at like pentagon, hexagon, octagon. This one has what I call the mini height. The mini height, or the apothem, is the mini height. It goes from the center of the shape perpendicular to the opposite side. So it's like kind of the height, right? But it doesn't go all the way from top to bottom, so I call it mini height. And then P is going to stand for perimeter, which is adding up all the sides. But because it's a regular polygon, all the sides are equal, so it's going to make it a little easier to add them up. And the formula is A, the mini height, times perimeter, A times perimeter divided by 2. A times perimeter, mini height times perimeter divided by 2. So here, the mini height is, I'll leave the formula there, the mini height is 2 times, what's the perimeter? It's irregular, remember, so 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Because it's a regular polygon, everything was equal. And that's going to happen every single time. So when I multiply that and divide by 2, I get 25 centimeters squared. Here the mini height is 1.5. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Yeah, 16. 1.5 times 16 divided by 2, and I believe that turns out to be 12 feet squared. Not terrible, right? 5 is the mini height. What's the perimeter? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. 5 times 60 divided by 2, or 150 centimeters squared. Again, sometimes we have to convert the units. One side is 1 foot, which is the same as 12 inches. So mini height is 6. If it's a hexagon and each side is 12, how many sides in a hexagon? 6, right? So 6 times 12, so the perimeter would be 72, and then divided by 2. And that turns out to be 216 inches squared. Now you're getting used to these last ones where it's either total area or shaded area. So this one is a total, so I know right away I'm going to add that one. Total is always add, versus shaded, which is subtract. So I might even just circle those now so I remember. The regular polygon, this has an apothem or a mini height of 3, times the perimeter, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6 times 8 is 48 divided by 2. or the same, that's going to be 3 times 24, which is 72 inches squared. Lucky for me, both polygons are the same, so 72 and 72, 144 inches squared. Now we've got a shaded one, starting out with a rectangle, so the area of that rectangle is 7 times 12, or 84 centimeters squared. Inside I have a rhombus. Now this is tricky. It's hard to tell. I actually don't even know. I think it's supposed to be like 5, 5, 6, 6. I'm going to say that that is it. That's not totally clear. It would be very clear on a quiz or a test. So I'm going to do 10 times 12 divided by 2, which is 60 centimeters squared. And then when I subtract, 24 centimeters squared. Last one. Base times height is 80 feet squared. Mini height times perimeter divided by 2 is going to be 2 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 4 is 24 divided by 2, which turns out to be 24. And don't forget your units on these little, pieces of the puzzle. If I subtract those two, I get 56 feet squared. So on a real quiz or test, I'm going to give points, right, for each of those answers. So you want to make sure you have those correct with the correct units. So there's area of a regular polygon and area of a rhombus.